Hey guys, welcome back to Danger Planet. And today, Richard and I are going to be walking through the NPE or negative play experience. Hey guys, welcome back to Danger Planet. This is Doug. I'm here with Richard Butler. Say hi, Richard.
Hello.
And today, Rich and I are going to be talking about something that actually affects a lot of gamers. I think it's one of the dark, undertoned, not talked about experiences of gamers that are looking to get into enjoying tabletop experiences is the NPE or the negative play experience. I was actually watching Deck's channel, Corner Case. He's a good friend of the channel. And he recently had a video that he released that really got me thinking. And the video was about how competitive gamers can be negatively characterized sometimes, and how competitive tabletop gamers can often be the generator of the NPE. And obviously, we're not talking about nuclear penguin explosions, which I thought that's what that stood for initially, but apparently it doesn't. It means negative play experience, and the TLDR is just having a shitty time because of a lot of the times a mean person or a person that doesn't really play the game the way they should. And competitive players have had that flipped onto them because a lot of players that go to LGSs, I think, can have a that guy experience. And so it really got me thinking about, well, I don't know if that's fair because I'm a competitive player, Rich is a competitive player, Brandon is a competitive player. Almost everybody that I play games with is a competitive player of some nature, right? But I think one of the things that I seek out personally is to surround myself with people that are also good stewards of the games that they play, which means that they don't cheat. It means that they help new players. It means that if they're not playing in a tournament, they're not going to bring like a eviscerating list somewhere to just try to chop somebody's head off, right? But those are a lot of the common negative characteristics of N.P.Es. And so how do you get, I spent a lot of time thinking, how do you get to the N.P.E or the negative play experience, right? And so it made me think about what different types of negative play experiences there are, right? And so in my mind, there's a couple. There's the gotcha rules, which is you're a newer player and you're playing a game system and you might be trying it out for the first or second time and you're halfway through a game and then a rule comes up that's like a faction specific or a model specific rule that just breaks the entire game open and makes you lose from 25 miles out of nowhere, and you just get blown out and it's a crappy experience because of that. And I call those like gotcha rules or gotcha moments, which in my opinion can lead to negative play experiences. Another style of negative play experience that I've seen or that I'm familiar with is just not having fun playing an army or playing the wrong game system for the type of game that you want to be playing. Like if you're a skirmish game player and you find yourself playing a rank and flank game with like non-freeform movement of just bricks of troops, and you just keep playing it thinking that it's going to get better eventually instead of looking for a new game system or trying to find a different system that fits more what you're looking for, you're probably going to have a much higher frequency of negative play experiences overall in general because you're not going to be enjoying what you're doing. So, in my mind, trying to find the right game system is really important to stop that as well. And then another thing is not having a community around what you're doing. So in my brain, it's like you spend 2 or 3 months searching for a really cool game system that you're into because you want to try to pick up something new. And let's say you landed on Malifaux and you were like, I love Malifaux, so I'm going to learn all about this and I'm going to buy 2 different crews and I'm going to learn their rules and I'm going to paint them up. And then you go to a store to try to get a game, but there's no community and you can't play any games of it, for example. That can lead to just a really shitty, frustrating, very prolonged negative play experience. The experience of just getting into something and then having nowhere to go with it, which just sucks. And then I think the last one which I talked about a little bit at the beginning, is I think just the most common one that people will knee jerk to, which is the that guy experience. And I always think of the that guy experience as you're playing a game at an LGS. It's not necessarily a person that's a friend of yours. So it's not a person you're opting into playing with. You're playing them because it's a league, or you're playing them because you read a random guy on Discord and you had a time to play and you wanted to get a game in before a tournament or something like that. Or you're in a tournament. It happens all the time when you're at a tournament, is you have a that guy experience. And the person's just, there's the for one of number of reasons. They could be intentionally cheating. They could be stopping the game. They could be manipulating the clock in their advantage. It's just generally, in my brain, not being a good steward of the sport for one of any number of reasons, right? And all of those things create an N.P.E. And then I thought, okay, well, there's so many different ways to create a negative play experience. That's so disjointed from what a normal player wants to experience, which is, in my brain, their ideal play experience. And then I thought a lot about what I think is the realistic play experience, which is how do you combat a lot of these bad things from happening, or at least be aware of them proactively so that it won't negatively affect you as the hobbyist, you as the player, you as the person trying to have a fun time, trying to get into a new game system, maybe a new community. And I came up with two big things that I think really can help a lot of this stuff. One of them is, before finding a game system, in my opinion, you should find a community that really supports you as a hobbyist or as a player. And it could be a community of friends. It could be a community of people at the LGS that you're all like-minded buddies and you'd pick up game systems together, or you'd even at least just hang out and talk about them together. Or it could be a Facebook chat group with friends, or it could be a Discord server. We have a Discord server that I hang out in all the time, and I kind of live in for my hobby inspiration, and I know a few other folks do, but there's a lot of other ways to do it as well. And as long as you have that type of support system, you'll have something to fall back on, and it won't feel like when an individual bad thing happens to you at the game store, that's like encompassing of the game experience. The other thing that you can fall back on then is the experience you have with your community. And the thing you identify with is your community, your game community, so that these individual bad things that might happen, they might be more blips on radar than defining elements of the experience. And then the other thing is, I think communication with whoever you're going to play a game with is huge. So in a tournament, you don't really need to, in an ideal world, communicate that much with your opponent. There's rules of engagement for a tournament, and if both players follow the tournament rules and they follow the rules in the booklet and they are a good steward of the game, then that's what it is. And it's the ideal player experience if they're both following the rules specifically and they're being good sports to one another. That's what you want in a tournament. But at an LGS or a one-off game, if you don't communicate with the person that you're going to play a game with, and you're not on the same page about the power level of the army that you're going to bring, or you're not on the same page as the type of game that you're going to play, it could cause really huge problems with one another. And it would be shitty to have one person bring a tournament level list and have one person bring a starter box, because that doesn't equate to a game. And ultimately, one of those players is going to be really frustrated probably if it wasn't communicated beforehand. But it's so easy to just ping the person beforehand and be like, hey man, I just want to be on the same page as you. What type of game are we looking for here? Are we doing a tournament practice game? Are we doing a friendly game? Are we testing rules for something? What's the gauge here? And then you both kind of come to the table with the same level of thing, and it can mitigate a lot of those bad feelings, I think, and it can solve a lot of those problems. I mean, I did a ton of talking, Richard. What is your general, do you have any high-level thoughts on the negative play experience as a competitive tournament player that often learns game systems, practices them, and then goes and plays them in tournaments?
I think that at least for the that guy experience. Although, most of the competitive players I know are not that guy. In fact, with a few exceptions, most of the time when you have a that guy problem, it tends to be not even necessarily competitive players. Some people are just jerks. Uh, so I've played games with some of the most cutthroat competitive people in the world, but you can still have a good time and be respectful and well, yes, you're there to win and you want to win, especially if it's like a worlds or a qualifier or something to that extent. You can still have a good game and enjoy the game you're playing, because at the end of the day, no matter how competitive it is, it's still a game, and if you're not having fun, then you're wasting your time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's such a good like high level takeaway. At the end of the day, dude, the reason why I meet you every Monday to roll dice or flip cards or argue about game systems or do whatever we're doing that Monday isn't because it's profitable or a job. It's because I love it. That's like the thing I like doing, right? So I think a thing that people can get wound up in too much is especially for competitive players. It used to happen to me for the beginning phases of my competitive playing career, especially in Magic the Gathering. It happened to me, but I've been able to unwind it. Is you get way too wound up in the results, in the finishes, in how are you doing from a performance perspective, and you don't get the opportunity to enjoy the journey at all. And it's crappy to not be able to enjoy the journey, because that should be one of the funner elements of playing games with your buddies. Just having fun, looking forward to going to the game store and trying out a new rule set or system with your friend and seeing if the new combo you thought up the other day is going to work when you try it on him, and if he's going to like, you know what I mean? Like, I know for a fact, Rich, you do the same thing that I do, which is before you know that we're playing a game, you're there trying to like write some busted nonsense combo on me and seeing if it works, right? Because I do that to you.
No, man, it just comes to me in the night, and then
Yeah.
I forget about it, and then I show up and I'm like, oh, now I got you.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly how it happens. Anyway, guys, I think in general, you're going to see more of these types of pieces from us, where they're just opinion pieces, where me or Rich or Sam or Brandon or Adam, we're just talking about a thing that we've been thinking about for a while. And I wanted to bring this one up specifically because of seeing Deck's piece on Corner Case, and talking about the characterization of a sub element of the community that we all kind of exist in. So you'll see more of these from us in the future. Stay safe, everybody. Check out our Discord if you want to be a part of it, and keep your ear tuned to the planet. I feel like we don't need to be PG-13 if we have duck sensors,
That's between you and Adam.
I think that's between me and the duck sensor.
How many coins does he get paid by Quack?
No, but I would be willing to rewrite his contract such that he does.
Yeah, like I'll never financially recover from this.
There's too many quacks. Oh my God! Look at all these quacks. No. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
All right.